Hola! Your dream vacation to Bali starts from rupees 22,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Hello, Ashna Garu.
Hi.
Welcome to Galata.
Thank you.
So let's do this in English because obviously Kalki has gone beyond Telugu states, and anyone who's interested in this facet of the film can watch this interview. So guys, please don't hate on me in the comments. So I was watching a previous interview of yours, and you had stated that at NIFT, where you did your graduation, there you found your technical knowledge, and only after going to Parsons College of Design in New York, you found your style. So how would you differentiate technical knowledge and style, and what exactly is your style that you were talking about?
So basically, NIFT is a institute that teaches students their technical skills really well. Our first year was basically our foundation, where we learned basics of design. And from second year onwards, we learn how to create garments, from the conceptualizing stage of mood boards, style boards, we get on to making garments, like through draping or pattern making, garment construction details, where you sew the garments yourself. So this way, NIFT was very particular about honing that skill of a student. It was very tough at that time, but I'm honestly grateful for what I've learned during NIFT. But I was a student who was doing what I was taught, because it was based on skill, right? So you do what they say, stitch a straight line, you stitch a straight line. It's not about how can you vary it. So then I went to Parsons, and Parsons was where the city by itself was super inspiring for me. New York was just a city where just looking around the streets, looking at people, I love people watching. So going in the subways, I used to see how people wear their clothes, how they style themselves, how they put two things together. And each person had their own unique style, which to me inspired me.
You're talking about normal people.
Normal, regular people
Okay,
who walk
okay.
on the streets or take the subway. And to me, that was so inspiring because, I didn't see that kind of versatility while I was studying. So I had that exposure at the right time. We had access to amazing books. I started watching world cinema while I was in New York. So things like that really inspired me, listening to good music, talking to interesting people from different spheres of design. So that way, I feel like I developed a style, and my style is basically very wearable. I create pretty clothes. I like making beautiful things, but my purpose is to make it wearable. So I think my style would be like wearable, but aesthetic.
But wearable is a very broad
It
term,
is
right?
I mean to say, for instance, I make separates. So separates as in if I don't dictate the entire look. I
So
don't
shirt
say,
separately,
yeah, I don't say
uh-huh.
that you have to wear my shirt with the trouser I'm giving you.
Right.
You can pick up a shirt, you can pick up like a crop top underneath it. And you can probably even wear it with a sari. So even my Indian wear is very like wearable in terms of you can wear it with jeans, you can wear it with a sari, a blouse. So that's what I focus on. I want to see each piece have that kind of versatility in use. It's never like the idea of making, the thing is, if you wear one look as it is, you yourself get bored. You're like, and people recognize what you're wearing. So when you have that kind of a reusable, repurposing kind of pieces in your closet, you feel like wearing it with other things. And I like the idea of people wearing the clothes I make with another designer's clothes or something they found in a vintage store. I like that kind of personal style with fashion. Yeah.
Okay. And you did this collection called The Painted Village, right?
That's
You had a
right, yeah.
poem for
Yeah.
for that. It's like a little story of its own.
That's right.
And when you're working in films, like obviously you have done only a handful of films like Mahanati, Ninda, Stand Up Rahul, and Stand Up Rahul, right? Yeah, Stand Up Rahul and Kalki. There is obviously a lot of storytelling involved.
Yeah.
So do you, what do you call? Do you make sure that your clothes are telling a story? Or at least complementing the story?
Yeah, definitely. Because, maybe I'll have to thank my earlier education for this. But whenever I develop a collection, I need to be inspired. And there is always a story that goes with it. Painted Village was inspired by the folklore of a quaint little town in Europe. I have several stories like that. I have a collection inspired by a poem, I have collection inspired by wildflowers. So there's always a little story. And in fact, when Mahanati was first offered to me, I was entirely in fashion. I was just a fashion designer. But when I started reading the script, I instantly started imagining the characters in each scene. I could imagine them in the colors that I had in mind, the silhouettes that I had in mind. So in a way, it felt like a natural progression because a story is been given to me, and all I have to do is design accordingly. Whereas with my label, I have to come up with my own concept and take it the direction I have to take it. So yeah, movies and fashion to me just, I feel like my design process is the same for both.
Okay, do you find one more liberating than the other? Because here you are working for someone else's vision, right? Whereas in the label, it's all your vision.
Yeah.
How do you
I mean, to
differentiate
be
that?
honest, in the beginning, yes, I did have a little bit of an adjustment phase because I come from, I run my own brand, I can do what I want. And then I come into the film world, and here the director, the DOP, the producer, everyone has their own imagination of what I'm trying to talk to them. Sometimes it works, we're on the same page. Sometimes we have to, edit it a little bit, fix it up a little bit, develop it furthermore. But I did learn the idea of collaboration with movies. It was difficult in the beginning, but then I slowly learned that it is the way it is, and you have to just, work in peace and harmony and figure it out.
Okay. Now, before getting to Kalki, we have to discuss Mahanati.
Yeah.
And one of the main challenges that you had while working on Mahanati was that all the references that you had of Savitri Garu's films were in black and white.
That's right.
And you had to figure out which color were they wearing. How did you guys crack that?
Yeah, so
challenge?
most of the photographs were obviously black and white, but what we did was we got access to tailoring books from the 1960s.
Okay.
So this was like, so our idea for Gemini was we wanted him to look really dapper and polished, right? So we found access to these tailoring books from the 60s in England where they had illustrated images of textile. Those checkered trousers, checkered blazers, or the weaving textures, or the shirt patterns. I don't know. It's like a catalog, basically. It was a catalog for menswear clothing, and it was in color. And those were illustrations. They weren't photographs.
Right.
So through those illustrations, we could kind of figure out the color story for Gemini. So we put 2 and 2 together. So we took pictures, the black and white pictures that we had access to in India, and then we understood what was happening in the world from those catalogs. And then we finally started producing looks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you always keep saying that ideation is your favorite part of the job. And in Kalki, I'm assuming you had a lot to ideate because unlike a Mahanati or the other films that you have worked on, which are set in contemporary times, Kalki is set in a it's a dystopian future, and you really don't have any other reference point, to be very honest. Apart from there are a few Hollywood films that have shown dystopian world, but this is India. We are very specific that this is India, this is Kashi and all. So what was the ideation process for Kalki like?
So honestly, I do not come from the world of sci-fi. I don't watch sci-fi films for fun. I'm more of a drama person. I'm more of an art person. So when Nagi first gave me the briefing, I was obviously very, very overwhelmed because I was like, will I be able to...
What was the first briefing like? What was the first conversation?
Briefing was very simple. He didn't tell me the whole script. He just broke it down with he gave me a briefing on each world. He said, this is Kashi, the slums. He said, this is the complex. Then he gave me a briefing of the key characters. Ashwadama was one. And that's when I was like, who's playing Ashwadama? And he immediately said, we're thinking of Bachchan sir. And I was like, I have to do this movie. But anyway, so Nagi gives me bit by bit information, which worked for me. Because obviously I didn't want to I was already overwhelmed. And with this little bit of break of wits and worlds, it helped me focus on each part like a whole movie by itself. It was like that. And yeah, there were no reference points. And we also wanted to be very, most of my mood boards, if you look at it, are...
Can you explain what is a mood board for those who aren't aware?
A mood board is images, it's like a collage that you put together with all the images that you find inspiring. Okay, so my first process is obviously to make a mood board. So for each world, we had created these mood boards, and we put together we wanted everything to be very rooted to India. So we identified certain embroideries that we wanted to incorporate, certain architectural motifs that we wanted to be incorporated. Just textures, just traditional textures, more distress of different kinds of fabric. How does fabric distress over time? Things like that were put together. And then, yes, we did have concept artists. We'd put ideas together and then they'd keep illustrating and, showing it to us. In the process of the film, I even started using this software called Procreate. And in between, I just started making my own concept art as well, because it just seemed easier, because I took help from the concept artist wherever I could, and then I started doing my own as well. So that's how we finally figured out what we wanted to do.
Okay. So what was your approach for the 3 different worlds? Like for instance, in Kashi, we see there are a lot of warm colors. At least I'm talking about the production design and the overall look.
Correct, yeah.
Because your costume has to add to it.
No, of course. So the thing is, we had to work in a very collaborative environment for a movie like this, because we had to be in sync. So Nitin and I, the production designer, and I were constantly in meetings. We had meetings with Nagi, Swapna, Priyanka, Nitin, and I. We would all, and the DOP, DJ, all of us would sit before creating any world. We would have these meetings just to understand what the world is about, and there was a process of elimination, like even the color palettes. First thing we did was we created palettes for each world based on the mood boards, because we wanted each world to have a very aesthetic, very specific color palette, right? So for Kashi, yes, we did a lot of warm tones. We also did a lot of cool tones. A lot of grays are also in it. With Complex, we did a lot of rich colors. We did like jewel tones. There's a very little bit that you could see in the song, but red is the accent color for the whole of Complex. So you'll see a bit of red on the Raiders, a bit of red in the vehicles and all of that, even with costume. And what else? Shambhala. With Shambhala, we wanted it to be really earthy. Like the idea for Shambhala was we wanted colors that come out of natural substances, like turmeric or a rose. So just colors that come out of natural dye. Right. So that was the whole process behind Shambhala. So, and we wanted it to look super peaceful and very serene. And, people just gives you a very calming feeling. That was the idea behind Shambhala.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know about the volumes of clothes that you had to produce, because it's massive, right? There are 100 people or 200 extras on the set, and you had to dress all of them up. How would you manage the production?
The story behind the extras also is that this wasn't a simple movie. We did not want to have one design multiplied by 20 and just hide them in the background so that people don't notice. We notice the extras. I notice the extras when I watch a movie. Nagi does as well. So we tried to create unique looks. So every extra that you see is uniquely styled by me and my team.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was just because we took everybody very seriously. There was not a single person we thought, let him wear what he has on, like he's in the backdrop. Never. We dressed thousands of people together, but we had it. We were a very small team. The whole movie, even if you look at the direction team or the costume team, we're all very compact, but we just figured it out.
Like how many people were there in your team?
5 of us.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
5 of you guys dressing up, say hundreds of extras every day.
Hundreds. No, of course we do have a great costumer team that is on set. Costumers are tailors who alter and who take care of all the things on the spot if you need. We did have a bunch of them, but designers, we were very few and we just had to make it work. Okay. Yeah.
So what would a day on set be like for your team?
I mean, no 2 days were similar. I have to say that. But a regular call sheet, if I had to, for example, I'd have to say if it's a 6 p.m. call sheet, it would go on supposed to go on till 2 a.m. But the costume team has to reach ahead of everybody else because we need to put everything in order, right? By the time the actors come or whatever. And by the end of the shoot, imagine if we have a lot of stunts, and there were a lot of stunts, there would be a lot of damage on the costumes, and then my team would have to stay back that night because next day early morning is a shoot again.
So it's the
So-
same costume that had like you didn't have like multiple.
we would have multiples,
Okay.
but we would have to. We probably have used both the
Okay.
plus one and the original, and then
Okay.
because one broke, and then we gave the other one, and that broke, and then we're trying to fix things. So it was an all-nighter, all-rounder. Art and costume has given it everything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the production, where was that happening? Because obviously hundreds of clothes, right?
Yeah.
Logistically, how were
We
you guys
had a
managing?
huge. So basically, there's something called a costume base. That's where we store our garments. So our costume base started off with a small room, and then it became a bigger room, and then it became a bigger room, and then we got seven. It became a container basically, and then we had several other containers put. So it just kept expanding with time, and now like if you should come to set sometime. You'll see the number of containers of costumes we have.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this thing is, every costume, and obviously the people in Shambhala or be it the residents of Kashi, their clothes are quite jaded, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Distress, how would a fabric?
Yeah.
How did you guys achieve that?
So, I mean, for Kashi, we use a different technique altogether. For Kashi, basically, what we tried to do was these are people living in the last city of the world. They do not have access to weaving fabric. So, how have they made the textile that they're wearing is one thought process that Nagi had. So, what we tried to do was things that don't decompose easily. Like we identified that synthetics don't, polyester doesn't, plastic doesn't. So we tried to incorporate that into textile, and then we created all these 100% synthetic clothing for most of Kashi. All right. And now how to distress them, because plastic and synthetics are not dyeable. So here we collaborated quite a bit with art, and art had these beautiful painting equipment that they would spray paint in different ways. We tried everything, different methods of distress, a lot of painting, a lot of manual fading and burning, different techniques. So that was Kashi for you. And then for Shambhala, because they're natural dyes, natural dye bleeds. So when it bleeds, how does it look? That's what we try to create by washing the costume. And then we wanted the clothes to look very worn in, like very soft. So we put everything through a softener wash to make it really soft and used and, tactile that way.
You're just dropping so many terms that I'm hearing for the very first time. Yeah.
to clarify and I'll
What does bleed mean?
Bleed is, how when you buy, like, imagine you bought a shirt from Fab India. Okay, Fab India uses natural dye. Now, when you put a Fab India kurta with a white shirt, doesn't that color bleed onto this?
Right.
Because natural dyes bleed. The first few washes that you put it through, it naturally bleeds. There is no, they try to fasten. Fastening is when they try the color not to bleed. It's a treatment. But when you wash it the first few times, it anyway bleeds. That's why natural dyed fabric stores like Fab India or many other clothes, when you wash it a couple of times, it looks faded because the color just bleeds.
Right.
So we try to create that effect, even with the soldiers of Shambhala or the civilians of Shambhala.
Okay, what was preserving all of these clothes? Because the film was shot for almost close to 2 years, right? And I'm sure it wasn't shot chronologically, so they
No,
must
it
have been back and forth.
Yeah.
You must have had to bring this costume now and maybe bring it back some 6 months later.
Yeah.
So how would you preserve all of?
We had a full-fledged like a container.
Okay, that can go. Okay.
Yeah, and then that had racks, so we'd hang everything. And luckily for us, we had a whole area in Shankarpalli, right? All of our sets were erected next to each other. Yes, it would be a little far if suddenly we needed something that's back at the costume base, but it was still reachable. It wasn't impractical. So that worked out for us.
How many days were you on the set? Every day, right?
As far as I remember, I think 99% of the time. Yeah, because this is a movie that needed and deserved that kind of attention, because we never know what the day holds for us. Suddenly we might need a new costume, or we might need to modify something, or something is damaged. You just never know. I mean, I did have a great team who by the end of it figured it out themselves, but I just got so used to being on set that if there was a day that I was unwell or something, I'd constantly be on my phone just checking what's happening now. So I'd rather just be on set instead of just tormenting my team by texting them constantly.
Was it overwhelming at any point?
I think in the beginning it was, and then there'd be moments, of course. There were times where, when you're just about to create, you just created a new world. Like a few days before you shoot that world, there will be a feeling of uncertainty, a feeling of, you're a little nervous, that was always there. But then you see the frame the day of the shoot, and then you're like, oh wow, it's all coming together. And then you feel assured. And then you're okay for a few days, and then you're attacking another world. And then it's like on repeat. So it's like highs and lows.
If you could name one, what was the most challenging part about Kalki?
I think, it'll have to be the amount of stunts we had to do. And the Raiders' costumes have been through a lot. And so basically our first version of the Raider suit was a certain way. And as we saw how the suit is reacting to the kind of stunts we were doing, we kept, adding it on, adding more elements, or we kept trying to make it more durable. So that was a process. So by the end of the first schedule, I think when we were finally shooting a bunch of Raiders, we figured out the flaws in the making of the suit, and we fixed those issues. And then Raiders just kept going into fights and then just falling and being slammed against the walls. So we just had to keep fixing them. And that routine was just the most exhausting for me and my team.
And another thing is, you also had to ensure that people who are wearing those clothes, they were also they should also be comfortable, right? Like, be it Prabhas, or be it the stars, or be it even the normal extras. So was that also something like a checklist for you, that it should be comfortable, obviously?
Of course. So when Bachchan sir playing Ashwadama was, we just had to make sure he's comfortable as well. So he was wearing a bodysuit. He was wearing a lot of layers. So but he was such a sport throughout. He has never had a moment where he's like, this fabric is, inhibiting my movement or anything like that. He was completely for it, but we always had to keep checking on him to make sure that, he was comfortable. And the fabric was an all-natural, organic fabric, so it didn't really bother him in terms of fabric. But for Kashi, because we use so many of these synthetics, it would get a little uncomfortable, but we just kept checking on them and making sure everything's perfect. But otherwise, I think everybody, because they understood that the world is an uncomfortable place, and there has to be a little bit of, that little bit of discomfort.
What was Bhairava's costume made of? How did you approach that?
So Bhairava's suit, I don't know if you watched his prelude on Bhairava prelude on Amazon Prime. So you know how he creates Buji, right? He goes to a scrapyard and he picks things up. So our concept for his suit was something like that. So all the parts that you see in his suit, like the chest plates that he's used to protect himself, he's a bounty hunter. He needs to protect himself.
There is another interpretation for that, which we'll get to.
Oh yeah? I would love to hear. So he puts it together, and then he is the way he is. And you'll see his suit also in different versions. Like he's fully suited up when he needs to be. He's half suited up when he needs to be. He removes the armor when he doesn't need it. So he's in different versions of it as well.
But it's the same suit.
It's the same suit.
Okay.
It's the same suit, it's just detachable. It's
Okay.
fully detachable.
Speaking of the Mahabharata part, how did you approach costumes for that? Because this is a completely different palette.
Yeah.
The Mahabharata thing is a completely different beast.
Yeah, so with Mahabharata, again, yes, there were references. We see paintings all the time about it and all of that. But we wanted to create something that is very unique. Okay, so in terms of language for the armors that you see, we looked at different sculptures that are there, like historic sculptures that are in temples and all human sculptures. They were adorned that way, And in terms of the language for the jewelry, of course, now we can just go to a store and pick up like uncut diamonds and use it. But we did not want to do that. We wanted the language to be very raw, because at that time, did they have the tools to create fine jewelry that we get today, or fine armor that we get today? They would have had to beat it. The metal should have been beaten. So in fact, if you see Arjuna's and Ashwal's armor, you can tell that it's been hand beaten. to create that shape, which is a very raw form that people still do it. Brass molders are still beating brass to create those shapes that you see in temples and all of that. So temple ornamentation on pillars and the carvings that you see, that was the kind of aesthetic. And even in terms of, even for colors for the soldiers, that I don't think was very clear in the movie, but we tried to create a palette in that as well, which was also inspired by deep royal natural dye colors. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Like, this is a very nerdy question. How many units of costumes must you have created for Kalki?
Actually, I've
Hundreds or
lost count.
thousands?
I wanted to check with my team the other day because somebody else asked me this, and it's like maybe 10,000. I'm not too sure, but I need to be sure. I need to
Right.
verify this number.
Approximately.
Approximately, there should be.
How?
There should be. It's just been like I said, for every extra that you see on set, it's a unique look, and each look would have 4 to 5 components on it. So to put it together and to get it out there, and then we had a full costume base that had to be, all these garments had to be stored at. Yeah.
That sounds very overwhelming. But,
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Kalki 2?
Kalki 2, we shot a little bit about it. We still have a lot to shoot. That's all I can share.
The work is on for that also, like from your end, because apparently a fourth world is coming. So,
Yeah.
do you guys have ideas in place?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. On that note, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you. This was so much fun.
Likewise, thanks for coming here, sharing all the insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hola! Your dream vacation to Bali starts from rupees 22,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.